So I didn't want to talk about any of this, only because I'm kind of confused about it. I'm overwhelmed, so I can't like get my thoughts like organized to voice what I want to voice, which I don't know exactly what I want to say. When I was at the doctor the other day for my consultation with the endocrinologist finally, and I found out I have to have radioactive iodine treatment. That was upsetting, not because I have to do more treatment, because I don't care about that. Like, I'll do it, whatever. It's the fact that it requires me to be in isolation for like a week. I don't know exactly how many days, but they said like a week, something like that. So I'm basically going to be confined to our bedroom upstairs during that time, and I can't get near anyone. Bill and the kids are going to have to sleep downstairs every night, and I'm basically just going to be alone for a week. I think it's even harder because I'm going to be able to hear them, you know, going about daily business every day and not be able to be with them. I just anticipate, you know, children having temper tantrums or things like that, and I won't be able to do anything about it. And I'm afraid Lyra Day's gonna, you know, especially if she hears me and knows I'm in the house, she's gonna want me even more, and I'm just anticipating her crying and stuff like that, and I don't know. Anyway, and also because of that, I'm gonna have to stop breastfeeding, which I was still breastfeeding, not like a lot, but she was still breastfeeding like to go to sleep. Obviously, if you've never breastfed, or if you're incapable of doing it, you wouldn't really understand the feelings that I'm feeling right now. It's hard to suddenly have to stop doing, like being forced to stop doing something that I've been doing for almost 2 years now. And I mean, I had planned to stop about her second birthday, because that's what I did with Tobias as well. So it's not like I'm stopping really early or anything. It's not going to be detrimental to her health or anything like that. It's just hard on me. So I have to stop breastfeeding her before I was ready to stop, basically. The other thing that I found out while I was at the doctor was I forget what it's even called. I don't remember. I could look it up, but I forget. But when I looked it up, they said the other name for it is Hashimoto's disease. Obviously, I've heard of that before. Lots of people have heard of that. And that was a really big shock to see that I have this thing that nobody had ever found before. And I'm just really frustrated and really overwhelmed because I keep learning new and new things that are wrong with me. I feel like could have been figured out sooner if someone had tried harder. When it comes down to it, like, I'm responsible for my health. I'm overwhelmed with what I'm supposed to do next now. Like, there's just so much information like coming in. And it's information that I'm getting on my own because nobody gives me information without me asking a question first. And I understand that, but at the same time, I obviously probably don't know about different medical things. Like, one of the things when it comes to Hashimoto's disease is that your immune system attacks your thyroid and like destroys it basically. But if you don't test for like the antibodies or something that show up if you have Hashimoto's, a regular thyroid test, like the most basic one that they do, and only that one for some reason, it won't show up because, you know, it's possible that the disease hasn't destroyed your thyroid enough for your results to come back abnormal. So every time I went in for something about my thyroid, because I went in about my thyroid a couple different times, and they tested my thyroid and it always came back normal results. But all they did was test the most basic thing, which is the TSH, I believe. And apparently some of the other like additional tests aren't even like a complicated thing. It's a very simple extra thing that they can test for, like the antibodies. And it probably would have shown that I had Hashimoto's disease. I don't know how long I've had it. I don't know if it's something you're born with or it's like I think it develops based on I don't know, factors in your life or whatever. But this is what I'm talking about. I'm saying, you know, I'm not sure about this. I don't know about this because I'm not a doctor. I don't know these things. I mean, when the lady at the doctor's, she said something like, you know, did anyone ever diagnose you with this? Because that's what my results from my thyroid, you know, removal showed, was that I had this condition. And she asked if anybody had ever diagnosed me with it. I said no. I didn't even know what that was. I think her description of it was immune cells hang out there or something. She didn't explain that it was an autoimmune disease, and I don't fault her for not explaining because she wasn't the actual doctor. He came in after, but I don't know. I'm gonna talk to him about it when I speak to him again. The fact that nobody explains anything, it's like they assume I already know, but then they get defensive if I Google something. So I don't know what to do. I don't know what questions to ask until I do my own research, and then I have questions. But I'm afraid to ask questions about in-depth research stuff because I know they're gonna say, well, how do you know about that? Did you go to medical school? Don't Google things. Because that's what happened the last time I tried to like bring stuff to someone's attention. And when I started like naming some things and asking questions, they're like, oh, did you go to medical school? How do you know those terms? And of course I say, well, I looked it up on the internet, and then they just shut down everything you say after that. So I don't know what to do. I'm like, by the way, you know how I was like dealing with thinking I could have like a gluten sensitivity or allergy or celiac disease or something? I thought that gluten was a problem for me. And I just find out I have Hashimoto's, even though they tested to see if I was sensitive to gluten or whatever, and the test came back normal. But I just find out Hashimoto's is very common to have like sensitivity with gluten. So I'm like, huh. So I was right about the gluten, but it just wasn't celiac disease. So anyway, I'm gonna stay away from gluten now because everything I read is that people with Hashimoto's should stay away from it. So I don't know. I don't know what to do anymore. I keep getting like this just onslaught of overwhelming information that I don't know what to do with because there are too many things. And I've always been the type of person who can't deal with more than one thing at a time. And I can't prioritize, I don't know. I don't even know how I'm gonna edit this clip because there was too much information.